Welcome back. Now, a report released on Thursday on Nigeria by the Institute of International Finance, Nigeria's economy indicates that the road ahead remains rocky for the economy, but the recent stabilization in the oil price and reforms being put in place by the federal government have improved prospects. Now, the Institute of International Finance is a global association of the financial industry with a responsibility to support the financial industry and the prudent management of risks, to develop sound industry practices, and to advocate a regulatory, financial and economic policies that are in the broad interests of its members and foster global financial stability and sustainable economic growth. I'm being joined now by the senior economist, Africa Middle East Institute of International Finance, Gaius Goket. Good afternoon, Gaius.
Hello.
Now, in your report on Nigeria, which you tagged early days in difficult adjustment, you see improved prospects with the recent stabilization in the oil price and reforms despite the economic challenges. How? What are these prospects?
So right now, circumstances are still difficult. Of course, affects scarcity, currency scarcity, execution of plans has been slow, but oil prices have improved from about $30 in January to about $40 now. Fuel shortages have been hampering activity significantly, have eased, and change in the exchange rate regime recently, of course, has rendered the Naira weaker, but that will have the consequence of improving government fiscal balances, and that will allow payment of arrears. A number of states have, as you know, salary arrears of about 7 months, so that will address that. And then in terms of oil production, of course, there's been a rebound compared to the decline in production, of course, that we saw a few months earlier. So hopefully, if that can be maintained and the production can be increased going forward, then we would expect to see a low baseline effect. We'll see a bounce following the contraction, of course, in the first half in oil production. So we will see that on a year-on-year basis in 2017 first half. But of course, this is still early days, and the near-term challenges, of course, are very formidable.
Now, the IMF recently downgraded Nigeria's growth forecast to 1.8%. Do you see Nigeria doing better than that eventually?
Our forecast for this year is a contraction of about 1%. We expect growth to resume in 2017 because of the improvement in the policy-making background, because of the exchange rate reform, because of the elimination or easing of fuel shortages. So for next year, we have a projection of around 2%. But I think when you see the second quarter results for GDP, there's going to be probably a set of figures which are worse than the first quarter. So the GDP data, of course, come with a lag, and there was significant impact on oil production during that period. You had headwinds because of lack of foreign currency availability. Hopefully, going forward, a weaker Naira will also allow more foreign currency to come in, and that this will address, I think, some of the challenges that we're seeing right now.
Now, talking about Nigeria's second quarter GDP, even though we're yet to see the figure out, but then it seems Nigeria's economic managers have come to terms that Nigeria, of course, entering into recession. However, just yesterday, the finance minister remains optimistic it will only be for a short while. Do you agree with that?
Yes, that's also our scenario. We think that because of the change in policy circumstances, because of the strong will of the government to execute its infrastructure plans, because of the ability of the sovereign to be able to borrow going forward with an improved set of, a more credible set of policies. We think circumstances are better for 2017. So 2016, unfortunately, has been a very, very difficult year, and we are expecting a bounce in 2017, a modest bounce.
Now, you did mention the weaker naira helping the 2016 consolidated fiscal deficit. But what about its implications on the purchasing power of the citizens?
Inevitably, purchasing power will decline. Having said that, there are a number of silver linings, if you will. When you look at the representative basket for a household in Nigeria, about 52% of consumption is on food. Most of the food is domestically produced. So that will not be affected by these changes. And likewise, if you look at a number of other categories in a representative spending basket for a household, the pass-through to inflation should not be as large as the movement, of course, that we've seen in the exchange rate. So that will, to some extent, shield households. And then the other thing to remember is, of course, there are some salary arrears, for example. So when government clears these salary arrears, automatically the employees who will be receiving their wages will be able to add to economic activity. So, again, I think there are pros and cons regarding the impact of the exchange rate move. It was a necessary move. It allows the economy to adjust faster and hopefully less damage than if the fixed exchange rate had been maintained. It will encourage, of course, domestic production. It will discourage imports. So those are both desirable elements in the context of adjustment required for Nigeria. The authorities had been using capital controls and restrictions on a long list of products. They're still using these restrictions, but we think that a market-friendly approach, which allows the foreign currency market, the exchange rate market, to operate, is better.
All right, thank you very much for your time, Gaius.
Welcome.
Right, that was Gaius Gokert. He is the Senior Economist, Africa Middle East Institute of International Finance. Now, let's quickly take a look at the activities at the Forex market today. I'm being joined by a Forex dealer at Access Bank, Ifweko Olotu. Good afternoon, Ifweko.
Good afternoon.
Now, the Naira opened today at 298 after closing at a higher rate of 310 yesterday. What is driving this sentiment today?
I think it's just the flexible market that has been introduced and supported by CBN. So essentially, what we are seeing is that we have valid demand, right? And this is the rate at which we are ready to execute. So we are seeing demand meeting the supply rate.
Right. Look.
Actually getting. Sorry.
Go ahead.
So we're seeing demand actually meet supply at an equilibrium rate at the moment. So this is what is happening.
Okay, looking into next week, of course, the MPC meeting set to meet next week, Monday and Tuesday. What is the market expecting, and what are we expecting to see in the market eventually next week?
Okay, so we got to FX. We don't see any definite change. I think CBN has done most of the change that's required for the market to function. Right now, what we're on the MPC, what we're expecting is with the flexible market, we will begin to see some inducement of foreign exchange from the offshore guys to come in the short term.
All right, thank you very much, Ifrako, for that update. We'll take a quick break now. When we return, we'll look at the fixed income market. Do stay with us.